Hello there, my name is Caroline, and welcome to Caroline's Handmaids. I just came back from work. Um, it's the clock says 4:15, um, and I thought I'd quickly come on here and do a pattern review of the Seamwork Callen Sweater, is what they call it. I recently subscribed to Seamwork. They're I don't know what they call it, but it's like they're all access membership. I thought I'd try that out. So I thought I would, every time I make something new, I'm gonna come and talk about it um, on a Monday or a Tuesday. That's my plan. So let's see how that goes. And I've not done very many pattern reviews, so please, I apologize if I don't do this that well. And if you have any suggestions as to what you want to see, what you want to hear about my patterns that I, talk about, put it down in the comments, and I'd appreciate that. It would really help me, as I review these patterns. So what I thought I would do is I would go page by page or, and do the basic things. So this is the Seamwork Callen here. It's kind of just like a t-shirt. It is. And with a little bit more, you can dress it up or dress it down. So I wore it to work today and I got a lot of compliments on the dress, on this sweater. I am going to just quickly um, also show you a picture of the flats. They call it the pattern flats. So it is a boat neck. It has faux buttons on top, and it has a very neat hem facing at the bottom, and it has vents on the side here, which make it cool, which makes it nice. And let me read a little description. It says, Callen looks like a sweater, but feels like a sweatshirt. That is so true. It's so comfortable. The pattern was designed with elevated style in mind. I think, yes, it was, because I feel it does give a little elevated style to something that could be just a t-shirt, right? You can also, the faux button closure at the neckline is the focal point, but you can also find other high-end details like a face, yes, a face boat neckline, dramatic wide 3/4 sleeve, and face notched hem. Make Callen your own by showcasing your vintage button stash or going nautical with the classic sailor. So the Mrs. patterns are drafted for a C cup, and the curvy patterns are drafted for a DD cup. And there is only 1 inch difference in the Mrs. is drafted for 5'8", and the curvy is drafted for a 5'9". As I'm reading this, it's interesting as it's drafted for a 5'8", and I'm 5'1". I didn't do any length alterations to it at all, and it's perfect. Nothing, even with the hemming of the sleeve, I didn't do any. I didn't have to take it in, or everything was just fine for me who's 5'1". Okay, so the fabric is, so you needed obviously four buttons, and it's a knit weight fabric with at least 20% stretch, such as a French terry, ponte, double knit, and a sweater knit. What I chose is this knit. It's almost like a ponte, I would say, because it's nice and heavy, medium weight. I take that back. It's a medium weight fabric. I got this fabric at uh, 2 or 3 weeks ago at Mart Fabric when I made a trip. It was $1.99 a yard. I still have, I think I got 4 or 5 yards. I still have like 3 yards or 4 yards left. So I'm going to make something else. I'm thinking of making a blazer or something with this fabric because it's a good weight fabric. So that's the fabric I chose because I don't have any white color um, anything with me on me. So this was my first one, something a garment that I made in white. So the sizing that I chose, the sizes go through for the misses sizes go through 0 to 18, and the curvy sizes go through from a 12 through 30. So there is a bit of an overlap there. So I went with the curvy one, and I chose a size 16 because the size 16, I actually gave a little room. My bust measurements, I wrote it down oh yeah, right here. I wrote it. Let me just read to you my body measurements. But I also wanted to, I'm really scared of making things too tight. So I always make, but I think that it was good that I made these. So my upper bust is 40. My bust is 41. My waist is 39. And my hip is 44. So the bust is 41, but I chose the 16 because I don't know. I don't think I could go with the lower size, which was 14, but the size 16 is a 44-inch bust, and the hip and the waist of 37. But the finished garment on a 16 is 47 for the bust and a hip of 50. Now I chose that because I like my things a little more roomy. So I went with the curvy version and a size 16. So that's what I did with as far as the measurements. Let me talk to you about the pattern. It has very few pieces, obviously. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 pieces, right? The hem facings were 2. The collar facings was 2. The front and back were cut on the fold, and the sleeve. I'm sure you do too, with patterns that come together easily and has not a whole lot of pieces. Let me cut to the directions. I wanted to go page by page. So, by the way, these buttons that I got, these were from Hobby Lobby, and they were $1.99 for 2, which I like the little bling bling on it. It really dressed it up. I um I liked it. And now let's go through the instructions. Obviously, I like the details. I actually enjoy. It's just me. I like indie patterns because I like the hand holding, and then I don't have to sit there and sometimes just scratch my head. Okay, what did they mean? Especially I'm not knocking Big Four in any way, but I find myself scratching my head a lot when I use the Big Four. And I'm like, okay. And then I'll have to look for tutorials, and I just waste a lot of time. So indie patterns really hold my hand and explain things in great detail. So I first started by interfacing. It asks for interfacing of the neckline, neck facing, and the hem facing. And the interesting part was I was confused a bit. The back was cut like it looked like it was the front, and the front looked like it was the back. And I kept, as I was sewing it, I was like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? I had to keep looking at this. I said, wait, or did they make a mistake? If I can just show you, that's the back, and this is the front. Doesn't that look like the back? I don't know. is only because the back folds over, like comes over to the front, right? Then I realized that the back comes to the front, and that's what creates the faux button plackets. So that was very interesting. And I actually did the faux buttonholes there. Didn't cut through the buttonholes because that's what the instruction says, and then you just sew the buttons, which I hand stitched the buttons onto the faux button holes, which was great because I was going to get about to get terrified. I actually interfaced the button where the buttons were going to go, and then actually did the buttonholes, but didn't cut through the buttons, and then I hand sewed those in, which I found pretty tricky. That's nothing to do with the pattern, but sewing those. If you have any tips on sewing these buttons with just one, the just the one hook in the back. Oh my gosh, I was just like, how do I get this through the fabric? How do I get it to stay? So the pattern, you start after you interface everything, you do the neck facing, and which is pretty much standard. There was nothing to it that was overly complicated. Then you attach the facing, you make the buttonholes, and then you insert the sleeve, all standard things that did not it was easy. The only time that I did have a little trouble, or like I had to pause a little bit, was the hem facing. But I just read through it. I didn't know, I couldn't understand. I'll put pictures here. If this hem facing here was supposed to be was like, I figured that it had to be turned in, right? So I turned it in. I was like, does it have to be turned in, or am I taking off the length from it? Does it go lower? I was really confused. But anyway, I figured it out that it has to be attached and then right sides together, and then you turn it in. So that was a neat little trick. I think Love Notions has the Barrington Oxy tee that had the same way. So I remembered that. But uh, um, that was just the only tricky part. Um, will I make this? It's a very short review, right? Will I make? And I love the sleeves. The sleeves. Oh my gosh, the sleeves. It's like what are they called? It's a trumpet kind of sleeve. I love it. And it said take the hem on the sleeve 2 inches, right? I took it in 2 inches, and it's perfect. Usually, as the pattern said, it was drafted for 5'8" person, and I'm 5'1", and I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I'd have to take it in more. So I just ironed the hem in 2 inches, and I tried it and clipped it, and then I said, oh, it fits perfect. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I'm 5'1", the 5'8" um, seam allow, it's 5'8" hemming on the sleeve was perfect. Will I make this pattern again? Yes. I want to make it in another solid color. I want to look, I'm sure I have it, a solid red. Sorry, my computer is going off. I want to make it in a red and another solid pattern because I can wear it anywhere. I mean, I can dress it up for work. But thank you so much for coming and watching this review. I've not done a review before, so please put your comments and tell me how to improve, like, or what I should be saying in a review. If you have any kind suggestions, um, thank you. This is the Seamwork Callen, and I think it was a success, and I loved everything about it. Take care. Bye bye.